So you don't hear about it. It's not an accident. It's not that people are ignorant. They have been taught that they've been conditioned, as you said, that this is not only illegitimate, but it shouldn't be talked about. We don't want to talk about this.
Well, there's an irony with all this too, though, isn't there? That the pharmaceuticals basically their roots were in homeopathic medicine. The plants and the roots, which originally became pretty much the source material.
Well, earlier on, before 1910, for sure, there was a lot more overlap between the two systems. In fact, the early remedies were absolutely made from the same medicines that doctors were using, just more dilute versions of it. So I shouldn't assume people even know what I'm talking about here. Homeopathic remedies are dilute. They're very, very, very dilute. They're extremely energetic for that reason. And even though the FDA has designated them as drugs since at least 1938, they're only drugs, properly speaking, when they match you, when they fit you. So when someone like me spends a lot of time and decides, oh, this matches you, that means that if the substance that the remedy was made from, in a gross amount, was given to, say, 10 healthy individuals on a consistent basis, it would produce in them the same symptoms, mental and emotional and physical, that we're treating with a dilute amount. And that makes homeopathy different from herbs and makes it different from anything holistic. People misunderstand this all the time. And that misunderstanding has been inculcated by the pharmaceutical community by putting the homeopathics on the same shelves as other remedies. They're deliberately creating a confusion of that. Homeopathy is very, very different. But anyway, in its sources, way back, when homeopaths were wealthy and eating the lunch of the conventional physicians, and they were using the same substances as the basis for their medicines, and they just had much more control over how dilute or how strong the medicines would be. So there was a lot of overlap. But the competition bred all kinds of funny things. There'd be allopaths, the conventional doctors, who would be using the homeopathic medicines, but not announcing it, not telling anybody. So they were being surreptitious homeopaths. And but the paradigm difference was that mainly economic. Nobody said that homeopathy didn't work in those days. They just didn't like having their lunch eaten. And the AMA was created specifically to ward off the economic competition. That was the reason the American Medical Association was created. They said everybody's going to the homeopaths, and we have this great education straight out of Germany. This is no good. We have to band together and fight this off. And the American Medical Association was created for that purpose.
Wow. And in recent times, recent few years, I'm seeing even kind of the same disinformation about, vitamins and just taking natural nutrients and such. You're seeing articles popping up here and there where they want to regulate them and get them under control, so to speak. Whether that's going to be by a prescription or just to kind of wipe them off the face of the planet, and just like they did with homeopathic medicine, to where it's just like, no, this pill, is your only answer.
Yeah. Well, we're not wiped off the planet, but we've been marginalized. We've been marginalized. And it produces, disinformation is just so insidious. It's just amazing. Homeopathy, as I just said briefly, it has more official status than vitamins and herbs. It is officially, if you look at a homeopathic bottle, it has an identification number from the Food and Drug Administration. They were drugs. And that's because early on, the law of similars was completely accepted, was not something that has to be proved over and over again. Like cures like. And you don't have to prove that each time. You don't have to put every remedy through a randomized controlled trial. It was absolutely accepted as a law of nature, because it's true, that a dilute amount of the same substance that is in a gross amount produces the symptoms can treat. Let me ask you something. The principle of getting back on the horse that threw you, does that need to be proven over and over and over again? Or would you not agree that that's kind of common sense? If someone has been terrified of a horse, they say, get right back on one again. Maybe not the same crazy horse that threw you, but a junior version of it. Otherwise, you'll imprint forever this terror of horses. And if you lived in the West or in cattle country, that might have been a death knell for your career. So anyway, that's the principle. And the idea of law of similars is absolutely ingrained in human nature, in nature. we have to face our demons from a spiritual point of view and actually engaging with it, revisiting the scene of the crime, so to speak, under more favorable circumstances, which is what taking a homeopathic remedy is, or getting back on the horse that threw you. That is very beneficial to our health, and it's much better than avoiding it or taking some kind of drug to suppress your symptoms. What if someone said, oh, the horse threw you, oh, poor you, you're so traumatized, take this medicine now so that you have less fear of horses. It would, it's not a great idea. What's that?
I said that's where the term "taking a horse pill" came from, maybe.